question was, how do cults increase membership? They say religious cults, but this is usually a stereotype that people think most cults are religious. So I just want to address that up front. Every cult operates pretty much the same way, with the same pattern of coercive control. Cults give you a worldview, not necessarily religion. And yes, they do sometimes try to recruit. That was my job, everyone's job in the Children of God. I'm Daniella, scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership. I wrote a critically acclaimed book called Uncultured about growing up in the Children of God, religious cults, and then going into the cult of the U.S. Army. You can get that anywhere you buy books, including on audio, or in your library, and you can get autographed copies from me in the link in my bio. So, how do cults increase membership? So this is where it's really important to understand, like, all 10 of these parts matter in a cult, and these are steps, right? So the transcendent mission, right? The cult leader starts the cult. Sometimes she, but usually he, creates the worldview under the sacred assumption that people have to believe in order to be members in good standing in this group. And then he gives followers the mission. And people come to the cult because of the mission, right? And the mission, the transcendent mission, is something so big and so obviously right? Save the world for Jesus before the Antichrist comes in the end time. Children of God. American Army, protect American interests overseas and abroad. Right? These missions that are worth giving everything for, that are worth dying for. And that is what is used as a primary cult recruitment. Now, tactically, how do you get that in front of people? Several ways, right? Cults and all kinds of high control religions will do a lot of proselytizing, right? Sending people door to door. One of the reasons for that, by the way, is because when you get rejected over and over again, you will start to believe the negative things that they say about the outsider and the other, right? So there's a lot of proselytizing in normal ways, talk proselytizing. Another way is performance, right? A lot of cults use the singing, the dancing, the precocious children performing. That is a way there's 3 benefits to this. You can earn money, you can bring in followers to the cult, and you're teaching your children to always be performing when they are in public, so that they never break rank and talk about what happens behind the walls in the cult. Okay, another way that people get into cults is through trickery. It's a con. So cults will have all kinds of front organizations. The Moonies, the Moon cult, use that heavily. The Children of God had in the 2000s, had a whole front organization called Family Care Foundations that was specifically for writing grants and defrauding the U.S. government out of money. Right? So someone might, for example, come on to work in one of these organizations, find themselves pulled into cults. You can be press ganged into a cult, just snatched up. There's all kinds of ways that people get into coercive control. And finally, one of the ways is breeding, right? The Mormons absolutely have done this the best. You breed your next generation. You raise them in total isolation from the world with only one doctrine being given to them. This is called mind grape, by the way, without the G. And it is different from indoctrination, right? So breeding, cults often want you pregnant. Sometimes not pregnant, but usually pregnant all the time. It helps control you, and it helps bring in new members. And finally, there's no requirement for cults to be recruiting. See, not on the list. So people, I will hear this. They'll be like, oh, well, our cult doesn't recruit. Not a requirement. The Westboro Baptist Church has had like 2 or 3 people come to their religion accidentally or through marriage. Like, they don't recruit. It's not a requirement. It is an evangelical Christian requirement to go out and evangelize your faith. So most evangelical Christianity-based cults will have recruiting requirements, but for sure not all cults have recruiting requirements. Just to point that out, because a lot of people do, not a cult, you can't get me. And when people use loopholes to get out of definition of being a cult, that's when you kind of know they're probably a cult.